Are you saying you faked with me?
Yeah.
Wrong, now you're single.
What do you know about sexual relations?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
You're listening to the Come With Us podcast, talking the good, the kinky, and the ugly. Here are your hosts, Beth, Aaron, and Tina.
Hello, 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 all you sexy holes and poles. Welcome to Come With Us podcast. We've got everything men want to know about love, sex, and relationships, especially today with our guest. Oh my goodness, such a knowledgeable guest with more experience than I think most of us could ever imagine. I'm Beth Darling from BethDarling.com, here with Tina and Aaron. We know that sexy stuff matters just as much as lovey-dovey stuff, and this is why we're here to help you get all the pleasure you want and deserve. So today, our guest is TJ, or the good TJ. TJ is the worldwide leader and foremost authority on the shared wife lifestyle. He's devoted himself to creating female-centric environments where women are empowered to embrace their sexuality on their very own terms. If you're not familiar with the term shared wife lifestyle, it's an ethically non-monogamous lifestyle choice for hot wife couples, cuckold couples, stag and vixen couples, and also can include hot girls and hot girl vixens, which are the single females. He's based out of Central Florida, is the owner and founder of The Good Fellas, ultimate fantasy fulfill hers. More than anything else, TJ is an erotic tour guide, and today he's going to be our advisor, our go-to guy for all of the answers, tips, and tricks about how to pleasure a woman. Thank you. It's my sexy pleasure to welcome you to Come With Us podcast, TJ. Thanks so much.
Thank you again for such a warm introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
I love it. And I love that not only are you an erotic guide, but your background is in social work and managerial leadership. So this is a guy who's like, again, sexy and smart, I think are a great combination. And forgive me, but well hung probably is a great addition to that. And I'm just assuming, I don't know, but you know. All right. So tell us, what have you got? Well, how can you help our audience? And Aaron and actually Tina and I, just so we know, what can we tell people? How can we get men to be their best loving self?
The main thing is always say is making sure she feels like a queen, or making sure she feels respected. There's a saying that a woman can feel desirable as well as a sex object, but also to a sexual subject, meaning that she could be a work of art, and if you appreciate that work of art, you can really love her long time and show her a great opportunity or a great time when she's with you.
Okay. So what do you think women, when they're coming to one of your events or one of your rooms, or with you or one of your stable of studs, which I just love that term, what do you think she wants that is different or something from what she's got generally with a husband?
Well, outside of size, just mainly having a gentleman in there that's actually a gentleman. One of the things that jumps out with women is smells. So definitely with different fragrances guys are wearing, whether it's lotions, whether it's soap, whether it's cologne. That's something that really, really appeals to women. And also having a great smile. Many women really say they like to see teeth and they like to see a nice smile. So these are things that guys can have. If you don't have the greatest smile, there's so many teeth whitening places, but investing in yourself to be more appealing, because once you look good, you feel good. And so that's kind of one of the first things that I tell guys. Make sure that you look good, you smell good. That way you'll feel good, so that when you present yourself to a female or to a couple, they're getting kind of the best version of yourself.
It's funny. I like that. I always tell men that like they should look better with their pants off than on, which means if they're wearing underwear, they better wear nice underwear. But
Correct.
I never thought about just a smile. And you're absolutely right. And so many people take sex so seriously that I think the smiling goes out the window. And yeah.
I mean, we've talked about that personal hygiene kind of looking good aspect before, especially for males, and how important it is to both for you and for her to kind of keep that appearance up for in general, for like your sex life and everything. Because no one wants to like hook up or have sex with a bum, or like someone who doesn't care about themselves.
Even this past weekend, I hosted an event, and there's at a club here in South Florida, and the kids showed up to the party, and they allow him through the door. They don't have a dress code, but they allowed him in, and he's got on some Bermuda shorts and a t-shirt, and I've carved out some playrooms of my own, and he's like, "Hey, can I go in this room?" I said, "No." So you're not a good fella. And so then he was like, "Oh, I really want to go in the room." So I grabbed one of the ladies that was there. I said, "Hey, would you play with this guy?" She says, "Not so much." I said, "No, tell him why." She said, "Well, I spent hours putting this outfit together for you to just come in here looking like this." I said, "You may have had a chance, but just how you look, that's not kind of fair to me." And I tell guys, I said, "So when I turn you away at my door, don't be offended, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of how women would like to see you present yourself, because I get it. I mean, I'm a product of a single mom, and I know what it takes just to, I mean, I see you driving and putting lipstick on in the car just to look fine, look presentable to go to work." And but then when you have an event where sexy, business casual, but the guys don't come in there, they don't even take the effort or put forth the effort to look presentable to women. I mean, this is your first impression of her. It's like, I'm like, no, not with me. You can come to this club all day, but not being associated with my organization, you have to come a little bit different. And guess what he did? He said, "I have clothes in my car." So he went outside and he changed. He came in with some nice dress shoes and a nice shirt and all this, all the fixings. Said, "Okay, so now I'm glad to meet you. Now you can come into my private playroom."
I like that.
And so sans the like appearance aspect of it, what else are women looking for, maybe on more of like an emotional or like
or tongue
personal,
action.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Oh,
like,
as
I
far
mean
as
that, but
outside of the size, the as far as what women, it's a movie, what women want, what women want. First of all, they want size, stamina, someone definitely that can pleasure them longer than their husband, and also too someone that's going to be an extension of their husband, not a replacement for their husband, but an extension of their husband. I've had hot wives in my life where me and the wife would go out to dinner, we'd go out dancing, and she's like, "These are things my husband never done with me. He doesn't do it with me." But I was like, "Well, that's why he brought me into your life, so he could be at home watching the game." But as far as definitely want to know, they want to meet guys who actually know what they're doing. The saying is that they don't want to teach while they're in intimate and interactions with someone. So as far as teaching them, we have something in place where we learn from each other. Whereas like when I first started, there was like, hey, there was this one guy. They're like, "Oh, he's the best. He know how to eat out," and all the women were raving about him. And so I was like, "What?" So I went to him. I said, "Hey, can you teach me?" And because I want to be the best. Because when I said before, we're competitive men, but I want to be the best. And so it was so funny, we had a lady there, and we both are down there, two heads that are down there. And he said, "Okay, so do you do this? And then this is what I do here, and I do this." And then I looked up at the lady. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, he's teaching me. I hope you don't mind." She said, "Oh, I'm having the time of my life."
Okay,
oh my God.
I love that, but what did he teach you? Tell us details.
Oh, he was teaching me how to play with the friend. I can't even say it now.
Frenulum.
Yeah, thank you. I
Yes.
still can't say it, but you said it.
Yeah.
But do that and use your finger and emotion and suck on the clit. And he was just giving me some great tips on how to pleasure her when I'm down there. And
Okay.
whereas typically it's like, "Oh, I want to just do what I have to do so I can get up so I can penetrate you." But then he was actually, "No, take your time." Or he grabbed a mint, like one of those tongue mints, and the little cooling sensation, and that was added another sensation to the woman. And so it was very helpful. And even with younger guys now, most women don't believe they can squirt. I've been fortunate enough to have women that squirted a lot for the first time, and so the guys are like, what do you do? I'm like, okay. Or even husbands, here's my finger, put your hand on top of my finger. Now you feel that little area right there, that's the butt. Now you have to pay attention to her, and that's the key, watching the woman and looking at her body language to see how she's responding to what you're doing, because you can hurt her if she doesn't communicate, but you're watching her. And so once you find that spot, she's going to move and she's going to make noises, and that's the spot you stay on. If she's saying ooh, ow, oh, then you need to back away from that area. But also teaching, teaching in a sexual way so that they can be better themselves.
Are you talking about the G spot?
Yes, the G spot.
Okay. So, and how do you tell men to find the G spot?
Well, I use my finger
Right.
and put it in the G spot, and then I have them put their finger right on top of mine. And
so
then
how can
I'll
our
say,
listeners, since they can't feel your
oh,
fingers, how does it,
so
what's
when
the
my
G spot
finger is
feel like to
actually
you?
inserted in there, it's kind of a rough area right inside her. It's not all, you don't have to go knuckles deep. It's
Right.
probably maybe 2 to 3 inches inside her vagina. And then once you feel it, it's a rough area. It's kind of rough, but you'll feel it. And as soon as you're touching it, you'll see that her body is making some different, she's moving differently.
Okay. And it's men, if you put your fingers in, it's towards her belly button. That's where
Correct.
it's on the
sorry.
top, if you will, of the vaginal wall and stuff. Yeah. And you're right. It's only a couple of inches in. Okay. And what kind of movement do you use, TJ, when you put your fingers in and you're on her G spot? Do you
Sometimes
just
it's
use a
just a
typical
pumping.
come hither?
Yep, just a come hither, and then also too, some women are with their clitoris, just stroking your cock or stroking your hand alongside her clit. Also, is another way to have a woman come as well, or squirt as well.
Okay. Okay. So what other, Aaron, do you have questions? I know you might have to jump out here, but what questions do you have?
I mean, I'm trying to think through. Like, so you said last week we were talking about, and you said most of the guys who I'm going to say work with you, even though it's not an actual like paying gig or anything like that. To me, it's still, if you enjoy what you do, you never actually work a day with your life. Yeah, we'll go into that. But you said you guys kind of make fun of each other if somebody comes sooner than they were supposed to or anything like that in these playrooms. What's the number one, like, if you bring on a new guy into your actual into your group and he goes, hey, I think I've got this, but what happens if I do? What's your number one tip for them to delay it or to, stop that train that's rolling down the tracks before it gets out of hand?
Oh, pull out or think about something else. I mean, when there's been occasions where I talked about last week about women thinking about groceries, women thinking about the food. Take your mind to another space so that it's not so much about you. And once you take yourself, because you're enjoying yourself just by the act, and so to delay that orgasm, you take your mind to a different place. And once you get there, then you can go pretty much all. I know for me, I can go for a long time because, yeah, I'm enjoying the act, but I'm not like, oh, this feels so great. This feels so good to me. I'm looking at her to see how good it feels to her. And that is a stimulant as well to make me say, oh, she's really enjoying what I'm doing. So I need to keep doing it until she's like out of breath, or she's like, okay, or she's had an orgasm. But the main thing is to have them refocus their attention on her pleasure, not your pleasure. Because at the end of the night, that's when you can have your pleasure, because you're going to be tired and you want to sleep and you want to cuddle with somebody. And so most of us, we save it to that end of the night, and that way we can have a good night's sleep, we can rest, and then we can go. But the main thing is refocusing your mind on her and her pleasure. If you always direct it back to her, then you'll be able to delay that orgasm.
I have to say, actually, that's kind of brilliant, because I never like when people are thinking about their grocery list or something, because it's taking them away from what's actually happening. I never thought about it, refocusing on her pleasure. And yeah, okay, I think that's pretty cool. Any others, Aaron?
I'm drawing a blank for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, so I would ask about anal, right? Do you guys service women anally?
Yes, if she's capable. The main thing with anal is for her, making sure her body's prepped for that, and so it's not an embarrassing situation for her if she's not. But if she's capable of doing it.
How do you how do you make sure her body is ready for that politely?
Well, if she comes to us with that particular request, she will already be prepared for it. She should be, and if she's not, then for me as a teacher and a mentor in this space, it happened to me once actually. I had a surprise party for I call them pies, a private intimate encounter for a wife, and I didn't know that she was blindfolded, and I find that to be the most erotic time. But the husband would say, do anal with her, and so we started doing anal with her. It wasn't a good thing because she wasn't ready, and so for her it was very embarrassing and everything, and she was like mortified, and she was like, hey, I'm not going to do this ever again if those guys who were with me aren't back here tonight. And I was like, hey, you have to tell her I told you to clean up the sheet so she wouldn't see that or anything, and he didn't. But I said to him, I said, hey, tell her this is a lesson learned. When I get back, I'll send her some information about how to prepare your body. And I said, and then for her, the lesson that I taught her was that never expect anything, but be prepared for everything. And so what she learned from that is that I don't expect anal, but I'm prepared for it. So she learned from the information that I sent her how to prepare her body for anal penetration, and maybe she'll get it again, maybe not, but now she knows so that she won't have that feeling like she felt before.
Yeah, that's a big one. And okay, so I know as a woman, right, I get that mortification. But now let's say, so as a man, when there is a mess and it's not the most pleasant, but does that turn you off and make you not want to fuck her again or not want to do anal again?
Well, remember that this is Wonderland, so there's different levels, and so as guys get deeper down the rabbit hole into different levels, we understand that there's a certain degree of things that are going to happen. Clean up on aisle 7.
Yes.
We know that this is going to happen, so we're more compassionate about her. Like, hey, this is okay. This happens. Hey, this is fine. More accommodating to her. Now, for this guy, if it's a different situation, he may be scarred. I mean, especially like a woman who squirts for the first time with the guy who's never been around a squirter. He's like, whoa, what just happened? And what this stuff getting on me? So you get afraid of it. But with experience, or what you keep going into this and these different types of experience, you get more comfortable with it. And then for me, and what I try to teach is that you don't want to start making or shaming her for what happened. This is something that really she may really enjoy, but then we need to flip the script and teach her and make it a learning or teaching moment so that it won't happen again, so that because it's really pleasurable. I mean, she may just be trying anal today, but she's really trying to get her body geared up for a double penetration later. So we don't want to turn her away. We don't want to make her be disgusted with it, because for couples in this space, it's probably taken 5, 7, 10 years to just get to this point for something like this to happen, or to be in this space, and then for this one act to happen to say, I don't want to ever do it again because I didn't know how to do it. No, that's not it. Let's teach and let's keep moving forward, because things happen.
Yeah. And I think that would help as a woman. I think that reassurance from our partners is what will either make it or break it. Like, if they don't handle it well, then we're not going to take another chance. If you handle it well, we're going to be more willing to do.
Especially when you add in a guy, the husband's going to be so supportive and reassuring that it's okay. But then when you have the other guy also saying, or guys saying that, you know what, it's all right. Hey, we're fine. We're fine. Let's get another sheet down, or we won't do anal this time because, that happened, but I'm still erect. If you still want to go, I can still keep going. Yeah. We can just go vaginally.
Have you found?
Remember, we're ethical sluts.
Yeah. Just clean though before you go butt to
exactly.
Pussy, by the way. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Tina.
Have you ever encountered a situation where the husband has gotten like jealous of how well you or maybe tried a new thing with the wife that he hasn't, or done it in a way that's better, perhaps?
Well, for me, I had 2 funny stories about that. They're funny, but they're not funny. The first one was the husband he was a cuckold husband, and he really wanted his wife to be owned by a black man or a man of color. And so he brought his wife to me, and he had put like this crayon tattoo on her. It said TJ's and all this stuff. And so we were making out, kissing, and then he wanted to join in. And so she was so into it, and he started sucking her toes, and she kicked him in the face.
Oh my god.
And like, I think it was a reaction, but she kicked him, and his glasses were like twisted like this, and he's like, "What is that about?" And she's like, "What?" And so they had a little friction, and they went into the room, and she was like, "What do I do?" And I was like, "You need to go to your husband." She said, "But what did I do?" I said, "You kicked him." And she's like, I said, "Now it's time for you two to really connect." So they go into the bathroom, and then they come out. He said, "Okay, TJ, how about you just pleasure my wife so we can go?" And I said, "It doesn't work like that. You two have some things you need to work on, because if that caused an issue with her and I making out where she felt you interrupted her, you guys need to have a little bit more conversation about this experience." That was the first scenario. The second scenario was when the husband was like, there was a boyfriend had brought his girlfriend to one of my first parties, and they were like just dating, and she started having fun, and she was with one guy, and she was making sure, "Are you okay with this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, yeah." And then she was another guy and another guy, and he left the room, and he came back in with their purse, and so when he left and came back, we're like, "Oh, he's fine." And then all of a sudden he left, and he never came back, and he wind up leaving her there because
Oh my.
mentally he wasn't ready to accept her being pleasured that way. And my group, we're gentlemen first and foremost. Um, I wound up taking her home, making sure she got home safe. But that does happen where individuals get jealous. But then the reality of this is that they've been thinking about this and talking about this for years. And so porn, in a sense, leaves an imprint on people's minds and their lives that this is how it's going to be. But once you're up close and personal, I call it smell-o-vision. When you can see it, hear it, taste it, smell it, even touch it, it's a whole different ball game because it's right there in your face. And so you have to deal with a lot of different issues. Jealousy is one of them, but on the flip side of jealousy, you also have compersion. I had a situation where a husband was in the bathroom. Well, the wife was in the bathroom with another guy, and the husband couldn't find her. And he's looking. I'm like, I don't know where she went. And he goes into the bathroom, and he sees her with the guy. And he's like, that's against our rule. And he storms out. And just like a comedy show, she goes running after her with one shoe on and her skirt tucked in her panties. Like, what's happening? What's happening? And running her out. And so communication is the
Wow.
cornerstone of every good relationship. So he shared with me afterwards that he was so upset and so hurt, but the more they talked and when they were driving home, he couldn't realize how much it really turned him on, to the point that they had to pull the car over and actually have intercourse and reconnect right there on the side of the road. And he's like, it was so intense. I mean, I never expected that I would take it that way, but the more I thought about how hot that was, seeing her as I walked in the bathroom, it was just such a turn on for him that it changed his whole mind, because he knew that she enjoyed herself, and then he also was able to enjoy her as well at the end of it.
And
Wow.
piggybacking kind of off that, so I'm guessing like you and like the people who work for you have encounters with couples of sometimes more than once, right? Over, they could have repeat crimes.
Repeats.
Right. How do you like mitigate? I know you look at it as like more, again, you're not getting paid, but more of a job, that the feelings aspect of it. Because, when you're, I would say like if you're swinging with a couple, there is that like reciprocity kind of. But like, what about, if a woman is being pleasured by this man, like, do you ever encounter situations where like perhaps it goes further, like there are emotions involved that aren't, that maybe shouldn't be involved in a professional setting? You know what does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, I see it from both sides. From when the male gets too attached to the female, and I've also seen where the female gets attached to the
Right.
male. And so with the single males, I tell them that you're there to add to their marriage, not to take away from it. So that's his wife. She has with her husband safety, security, all of the luxuries that she has in life. And then also too, most couples that are in this space have roots to their tree, meaning they have many
Mm-hmm.
years and many layers in their relationship, that sex is something that they differentiate between love. And so when I, even with new couples, I let them know that you can have an amazing sexual encounter with an individual, but don't get them mixed with sex and love, because they're two entirely different things. And so when you have a great experience, share that great experience with your partner, keep them involved in it. And so you can have the conversation about what did you like? What did you like about it? Why did you feel that way? Or you gave him your phone number, but we don't give out phone numbers. Why did you have to feel that way when we're in an open relationship? So yeah, that does happen. But also too, when I speak with couples about it, I mean, sometimes my social work comes out where I actually do, not that I'm a licensed counselor, but where I can speak to them about this. Is like, hey, I took a wife to a party. She's like, oh, this guy, he really likes me, and I have to get some lube for him because we want to play. And I said, guess what? Let me go show you something. And I took her back there, and he was playing with another lady who actually had lube. And she's like, what? I thought I was so special. I said, see, it's just an opportunity. I said, you were the flavor of the minute. The moment you walked away to get something else, someone else came there. So don't get it mixed up, because you know your husband, you know your partner, you know what type of marriage and relationship you have. So don't get sex confused with love, because that's what you have. That's what brought you to this point. And then even with the single guy, I'm like, hey, you have a big cock or whatever, and you can be that person to work her over real good. But guess what? Her husband's at home. He's got job, he's got house, he's got kids, he's got family. There's nothing else that you can bring to the table other than the big cock, because this is how she met you. She don't know you outside of this space. And so when you want to approach her and try to take her away from that, you also need to know that you're getting a happy wife. You're not getting what she looks like when she wakes up.
Mhm.
You're not getting if she has mood swings. You're not getting the other side of that. You're just getting the fun side. And so there's multiple sides of it. And the same thing with the guys, or with the couples. She's only getting that guy who's, yeah, I'm erect, but what about what happens when I have to be with you 5 days a week and actually perform like this?
Mhm.
You can't,
So, yeah, I like that. So, guys who were a little insecure, and I could imagine, because if my partner was with some gorgeous, whatever, younger, whatever, more beautiful version of a woman, I could imagine I'd be like, well, hell, I can't compete. And I expect that's what men feel about, if their cock isn't as big as yours and stuff. So, but I like the idea of just, as you say, just thinking of it as something extra, like the accountant who does your taxes, right? They've got skills you don't have. It doesn't mean you want them all the time. It's just once in a while they play an important part in your life, and that's a good thing. And and you told me a story about a woman who came to visit you from Florida. I guess for some maybe PIE or something, some private, intimate experience or something. And you told me that when she went back to her husband in wherever they were from, that he was like, hey, thanks, TJ. She comes home. She's so happy. She's so, and I'm thinking that makes their marriage stronger. It's just like when we go away for a weekend with our friends, or we get to go do something. If we like to play tennis and our partner doesn't play tennis, or go to the baseball game. So we come home and we're so happy that our partner lets us have that space and that freedom to have our own needs and desires and fulfill them. I think that's kind of a beautiful thing. And I never really noticed or thought about that before.
Yeah, you
Because we
definitely
all have
provide.
different needs. We all have
Yeah.
different needs that we can't expect our partner to meet every one of our needs. For one couple that I was with, she wanted to go dancing. He didn't want to go dancing. So you know what? I can go dancing. I dance. I mean, I need a dance partner. So that particular need was met. It may have been sexual or may not have been sexual, but she went home happy because she got to dance and she got to meet that need. So even in this space, maybe her sexual need isn't being met, or maybe the husband is like, she is just such a vixen that I need help pleasing her because she's killing me. She's wanting to go all night and she's wanting to go 3 or 4 times a week. I need some help, so I can't meet that need for her. But honey, you have my encouragement and support to go get those experiences, because the beautiful part about it is when we go out, we come back, they come back to their partner, and they come back to their partner, and their partner is even that much more loving, because for one, the woman is super happy, and the husband
Yeah.
is also happy, because the one husband that I shared the story with you about, he was like, I love when she comes home with that smile on her face. She don't have to say a word, but as soon as she hits the door, he's smiling. And then we talk about compersion. When she's happy, ultimately he's happy. Happy
and
wife,
that's what
happy
compersion
life.
is, when we're happy for somebody else's pleasure, and that adds to our pleasure. I think that's a really very, very cool and a valuable opportunity for people to recognize that that it's there. And I had somebody who I met at New Orleans who told me she had been to the +1 room. And she's like, I wore them out. Like, she was so proud of the fact that she'd been through like 6 or 7. She was like, they were exhausted when she left. And she felt so good. And her husband's like, yeah, like he was so proud of her. It was like, it's like he had let them race his race car. And when they were like, shit, that's the best thing ever. Like, he took it as a compliment. And I thought that was pretty beautiful too. So, yeah.
And I probably was the one high-fiving her, like, good job. They needed that. They needed that.
I like that. All right. Well, we are about out of time. Tina, do you have any last questions or anything?
Nope. I think it's a pretty good way to end. That there is. Well, I think just to remind people that there's this space out there, and we'll tell you how to find it. Actually, TJ, you can tell us how to find it, like right now, if you would like.
Yep. We're at thegoodfellas.com. That's THEG00d TJFELLAZ.com. The Goodfellas 1 on Twitter, the Goodfellas 1 on Instagram as well.
Mm-hmm. And we'll link all of that in the bio too. But again, there's this space. If you guys want to explore it, you've heard the kind of the good, the bad, the ugly of it, but mostly the good, and kind of the positive aspects of perhaps trying something like this out. And especially to our female listeners, that there is this other space for pleasure, to explore. So, because
what I had was this idea, like, it had never occurred to me that I could ask for what I wanted sexually with zero expectation or obligation of reciprocity. Like, that I could know that they were happy doing whatever I wanted. That was their pleasure, and I didn't have to be concerned about it. And couples, even if you are not interested, like you think, okay, no, we're monogamous, we're going to stick with that. And that's totally cool. But I would suggest that you have a conversation with each other about, okay, if we did, what would we want from it, right? Because just sharing that fantasy can be so powerful and so bonding. It would be like, all right, what if I didn't know you? What if I was just some big BBC walking in here? What would you want me to do? Would you want other people watching, right? So take this opportunity. It's not just what we do, but it's how we think about things and how we talk to our partners, and how we pleasure them in all sorts of cool ways. So
I'll just say this. The idea is to introduce, seduce the mind, and then guide down the rabbit hole. Don't dive down there, guide down the rabbit hole.
Okay, I like that. Introduce, seduce, and then guide. Yes, I like that. And I say, so I don't know how you differentiate between persuasion and seduction, but I say persuasion is just, it's getting somebody to do what you want. Seduction is getting them to want what you want. So it's a win for everybody. And so introduce, seduce, and then guide. That's awesome. Very good.
All right.
Cool. Well, thank you, TJ. You have been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. You've given pleasure to all of us today. And we're not even naked. So that's just an incredible gift. Incredible power. So thank you. Everybody out there, thanks so much for joining us for Come With Us podcast, where you get the bare naked truth about love, sex, and relationships. And of course, you can get even more sexy, fun tips and tricks by following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Don't wait. Follow us now, because we really can't wait to see you online. Aaron, Tina, and I are so glad to have been on the sexy journey with you. And thank you, TJ, for sharing that sexy stuff matters. And hey, we're so glad that y'all are coming with us. Big hugs. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Come With Us podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Come With Us podcast, and send in your questions, comments, and confessions to comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, keep it fun, flirty, and naughty.